Hi, this is Jesse Liberty, and this is the first of a series of short videos on Git, based on excerpts from my book, Git for Programmers. Git, the first thing we should say, is much easier than often it's portrayed as. There are a couple things that are tricky, and we'll get into them in later videos. Let's start at the very beginning. What is Git and what is version control? When I started programming, if I wrote a fair amount of code and I was afraid of losing it, I would make a complete backup of the directory and then do a little more coding and make a complete backup. As you can imagine, this was time-consuming and inefficient. With Git, Git does it for you in a very efficient and very fast way. There are a couple things to keep in mind with Git. Most things happen locally on your local machine, and it's very, very hard with Git to lose your work. There are 5 areas or places that we'll be focused on: the work area, the staging, repo on your machine and the remote repo, and the stash. Let's take them one at a time. The work area is where the files are in your current directory. This can get a bit confusing. You only have one work area at a time. And if you go into Visual Studio, these are the files that you'll see. The index or staging area allows you to distinguish between those files that you want to put into your repository and those that you don't. We won't be using this very much. The repository on your machine is the golden place where all the versions of your program are kept. They're kept in a very efficient way so that you can save files and restore files very quickly using minimal amounts of space on your disk. The remote repository is just like your repository, except that it only holds the files that you or someone else has pushed up to the remote repository, most often in the cloud. This allows you to safely share files. The stash is a place to put the files that you've created but that you don't want to commit. We'll talk about commit now. When you move something from the work area to the repository on your machine, that's called a commit. When you move things from the repository on your machine to the remote repository, that's called a push. You push to the remote repository. We'll be talking about this and a good deal more in upcoming videos. My hope is to drop a video every week.